So does the ranking system take individual performance into account, or only wins and loss? So from what I understand, God, we should just make this a video. Like, honestly, yesterday's explanation plus the day before, and what comp chat's having right now, we need to make this a video at some point. Like, this is, I actually feel bad for how people don't understand the system, and it's not their fault in any way. Like normally I get mad at people not knowing like very basic information that they can look it up. But like, actually, it's not your fault. Like, this is legitimately Blizzard's fault. So, for anyone that has been playing Overwatch for a long time, let me say this. The ranked system is exactly the same as it used to be. So if you played Overwatch 1, the system is the exact same. The only differences between Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2 is there's no longer SR shown. It still exists. It's in the background. It's not there. You don't see it, but it still exists. And you can prove my theory right. It's not a theory, actually. I know it's confirmed. You can prove it right when Top 500 releases and after 2 weeks of Overwatch 2 being released. So on the 18th, Overwatch 2's Top 500 leaderboard should unlock. Top 500 will update after every game. So if you watch a player on the leaderboard and you see their number and they play a game, the number will change. That's SR. It still exists. You are not shown it though. The reason behind it is I think they're trying to remove like anxiety people have for playing ranked, and it seems pretty effective. A lot of people that don't play ranked are playing ranked now, and they're not afraid of seeing the number go up and down, because a lot of people would rank camp, and that was probably the worst thing that could happen. Which actually brings us into part 2, which is the other part of the system that also kind of comes from Overwatch 1, is the system that most people didn't understand, which was called the 3900 reset. The 3900 reset was a hard cap of the ladder. I mean, the highest you could place after your 5 placement matches at the beginning of the season was 3900. Small note: if you are playing placements in Overwatch 2 and you are not GM plus, I am sorry to tell you, your placements do not matter. It doesn't even matter for GM plus, but I'll explain why in a second. Placement matches are a placebo in Overwatch, other than your first matches, like first time ever playing. After that, if you're like replacing for a new season, there is no difference. The difference is as if you played in Overwatch 1 system 5 matches. So if you lost 5 matches, you wouldn't magically be bronze if you were like plat. But if you won 5 matches, you wouldn't automatically be GM. That's just not how it worked. That wasn't even how it worked if you won 5 matches off your original placement. In Overwatch 2, the same thing happens. If you win all 7 of your placements in a row and you place gold or bronze or whatever the fuck, and you see someone else that placed like GM or Masters, you're like, what the heck? I won my placements too. Your placements are a placebo. It's based off of your old SR. So basically what it says is it took your old SR and you won 7 games on top of that. So what is 7 games of wins in SR range? So if you're diamond and below, you get performance MMR boost or SR boost, and I explain that too. God, this is going to be a much longer conversation, a much longer explanation than I intended. If you're diamond and below, you get a boost to your performance. Like, your performance also like gives you an extra SR. So like, let's say you're absolutely fucking nuts. Instead of getting 30 SR in the old system, you would get maybe 45. I think it maxed out at like 90. So like, if you were like a GM 4500 player, listen, I'll replay it. I'm gonna pause alerts for a little bit. I need to just get all of this out. So if you're diamond and above, you don't have performance-based SR. If you're diamond and below, you do. I don't know how that's gonna work with the skill tier divisions. I assume it's the same until you get to about the diamond range. Then it's a little wonky. Not the point though. Point is, the 3900 system, to loop back, the 3900 system made it so that after you played your 5 placements, you placed 3900 on the dot, no matter what. Even if you lost all 5. Why is that? Because the way the matchmaker works is it goes off your hidden MMR, your matchmaking rating. In the old system, you had your SR, which is the number you saw, and your MMR, the old matchmaking rating. Those still exist. Your matchmaking rating is what the game determines you to be. So even if you lose a game, or sorry, even if you disconnect or you leave and you lose 50 SR, your matchmaking rating has never changed. That's why even if you lose a game or you disconnect, you'll get your SR back pretty quickly. So if you disconnect or leave a game, you all of a sudden get like 35 SR back, or you used to. That was because the matchmaking rating and the SR always fight to align themselves with each other. So your SR will pull up faster and your MMR will pull down slower. So like, let's say your SR was 3900 and your MMR was 4500 SR, and you lost a bunch of games, you would lose like 10 to 15 SR per loss and gain 35 to 40 per win. This way, the rating was trying to pull itself and align itself together. Matchmaker rating is your true matchmaking rating that the system tries to place you in a game for. Now it gets complicated. That was the simple explanation. Now it gets complicated. Now we have skill tier divisions. Skill tier divisions are the new system implemented that makes it so that you don't have to be afraid of winning and losing games. But it's still the old system, just with a new coat of lipstick. It's still based off of SR. That's why you can't queue with people that are within a certain SR rating of you. If they're not within 1,000 or... And hell, it's even actually got way more complicated. It can change midway through your placements of 7 games, where you could be playing together one game and then all of a sudden you can't. I think Moist Critical had a video talking about this, actually, where they were playing together and all of a sudden they couldn't. It was hard for me, Seagull, Emong, and Karkyu to figure out how it worked. Like, we actually had to guesstimate where we were just to figure out like how close we are to being able to play with each other. The way the system now works is also based off the old 3900 system. So off of the old 3900 system, everyone got sent back to 3900. Seems off this new system, there's a soft reset. So I played a bunch of games on day one. I had like 4 or 5 DCs. I had a bunch of losses just from like teammate levers and stuff. So by the time I finished my 7 wins, I placed Masters 5 on tank. Then I won 7 games and lost like maybe-ish like 5. Went to Masters 3, then GM 5, then GM 3, so on and so forth. The hidden matchmaking rating, though, the entire time had me rated as a pretty high level GM player. How do I know this? Even though I saw the skill tier division of Masters 3, I was consistently going up against Gator, Tizzy, fucking Edison. Dude, there was nothing but Owl players in all of the games. And actually, the Owl players at one point were 5 stacking. That shit was a fucking nightmare, but not the point. It goes off your old matchmaking rating. So if you were plat last season, and all of a sudden you're now silver 3, but your games still feel hard, like as if you can't win, it's because you're not playing with silvers, you're playing with plats. This actually has gotten exasperated because there was no reset. Not saying that there should have been a reset, but the system should have been a little bit more strict on what it understood as a player who hadn't played in a while and who has played in a while. Because not only do you have a lot of players returning, but for the longest time, there's been a lot of people that are even still active Overwatch players to this day who have been rank camping for years. What they do is they play their 5 placements every season to get their competitive points, and they never play. They got plat like 10 seasons ago, and they're like, well, I'm a plat player, and that's it, and they never play anymore. Bitch, you're not plat anymore. You're like silver. The only reason you're plat is because the matchmaker hasn't had time to readjust your rank. This actually happens as a placebo a lot of times for people, that when they place a new account, when they're really, really low rated, they get a new account, they play well in a couple games, and all of a sudden they're plat. And they're like, look at me, I'm actually plat. I'm not actually hard stuck bronze. It's like, no, if you played more games, one of 2 things would happen. 1, that account that placed plat would either drop to bronze, or 2, that account that's bronze, if you played more games, would actually climb. Of course, there's like some small variations in like, you know, especially in like low bronze, there's a lot of like trolling. People people want to go to that elo to fuck around. Like, it happens. Like, I understand that, but over time, if you play enough matches, you should technically climb if you were actually better than that rank. That's how the system works. It's very good, actually. Skill tier divisions. There was a bug, and I know people have said this. There was a few bugs apparently where like some GM players were placing or bronze 5. I actually don't know really much about it, but I will tell you there is a unbelievable amount of copium that has gone around where people think, oh, there was this bug I saw on Reddit and 3 people placed bronze 5. I must be bugged too. Most of the medal ranks got reset down to silver and bronze. Think about it. I got reset from 4,400 last season to Masters 5. Do you know what Masters 5 is? That's 3,500. 3,500 SR from like 43, 4,400. That is a massive drop, especially when you're high at the ladder. The number fluctuations are much smaller. Like you lose a little bit more than you gain. That's why you have to keep like a pretty positive win rate to keep climbing. What this means is when you queue a game of ranked, and let's say your, I don't know, skill tier division is bronze 3, and your teammates is plat 4, you're likely both somewhere in the same range of each other. The only problem is you haven't played enough yet. The new system makes you play. It's like Apex in some ways, where Apex every season pushes you back down to a certain rank. I think it's like a demotion of 1.5 tiers or something like that. I don't know what Overwatch is. They need to explain what it is because they're not explaining it. This is me trying to give you a best guess from what I've gathered. But everyone seems to be getting pushed back a little bit. And then you're able to quickly climb your way back up. It doesn't take as long as it would in the old system because the matchmaking rating for you is still high depending on where you are. So like if you were plat before and now you're bronze 5, congrats. It will probably take you 3 to 4 sets of 7 wins, so let's say 28 games of straight wins to get back to whatever plat level you were at before. But if you don't play though, the system's going to push you down. It's going to keep you down. There's a little bit of copium going on of, oh, I just don't play, they'll fix it. No, that ain't going to happen. Basically, the system's not great. It's the old SR system with a new coat of paint. I'm not really sure what's going to change. Oh, also, by the way, I don't like, dude, the new like logos, like the GM logo, plat logo, mask, those are awful. Let's put that out there. But basically though, it's so confusing now that you can't even figure out where you can play with friends. For example, if you're Diamond 5, you're supposed to be about 3,000 SR, so you can play with people within 1,000 SR of you, not including Masters, because Masters is 500, so 1,000 down. But if you're trying to play with a friend who's, let's say, Gold 1, you should be able to play with them, but all of a sudden, you can't. Well, that means one of two things has happened. One, you won enough games to cross somewhere into like the higher levels of Diamond, or two, they lost enough games before they finished their 7 next placements that they can't play with you anymore because their SR number that's now also hidden in the background that you can't see is now too far out of range for you to play with. So, yeah. I can't even blame anyone for not knowing this system. I can't blame them even in the slightest. And I hope that some new information comes out and explains to people the system, or they fix it. I don't know which one it's going to be. I hope that that's a decent breakdown. I think I covered everything with how the rank system works. The fact that it needed this much of an explanation is insane. So, yeah. I guess we'll see. It's so stupid. Then why didn't they just keep the old ranking if it's just a reskin? So the reason there's a new ranking system, like bar none, like the true reason, is they wanted to make it so that losing was not a negative experience for the player. So basically what they're trying to do is not make people afraid to play ranked. Basically seeing the number go up and down, because the number going up and down can cause a lot of anxiety for people. So they're trying to remove that number moving every game by doing the 7 placement wins or 20 losses. But also not tying you to a oddly specific number as more of a division gives a little bit more ambiguity to it, but it's also impossible to keep track of. So I feel like we're trying to have our cake and eat it too, and it's just not. It's too confusing. I mean, hey, I'm glad people are playing ranked. It's probably working, but we need something. And in top 500, by the way, is fucked. Like, I didn't even talk to you guys about top 500. One doesn't show on your profile in game anymore, obviously, because you can see the bottom left. You'll see my overlay that I have sitting there, because people keep coming into chat and asking, what rank are you? What rank are you? So I'm trying to like be helpful there. But more importantly, you actually can't tell what top 500 is. So let's say top 500 starts at GM3. You don't understand where that starts in GM3 though. Like you'll see on their top 500 profile, you'll see like 4236, and then you get to GM3, right? Like boom, let's say you pop in your GM3 and you're not top 500. You know why you're not top 500? Because your GM3 is not at the high enough level of GM3 yet, but you won't know that because you can't see the number. So let's say top 500 starts at GM3, you get GM3 and you're not top 500, you're gonna be like, what the heck? Like, how do I get top 500 then? Well, you're gonna have to win a few more games, because let's say you're GM3, but you're actually 4210, and top 500 starts at 4238. You're not gonna make it there yet. You'd have to play more games. I think that covers anything. I don't know. If I missed anything, I can try to do it again later, but yeah, I hope that's helpful.